Hello, my name is Jonathan. This is my very first video that I've ever ever recorded or ever thought to record in this way. For my standards, it's very unprofessional, honestly. Usually I like to do things and like go all out, but I'm trying to actually do quite the opposite for a very important reason here. As you can see outside, it's not very sunny either, but that's also for a very important reason that I'll mention later. But anyways, yeah, so the reason I'm doing it this way is to kind of prove to people that these kinds of videos can be done by you, the person who's watching this. You can make videos like this that touch on very important spiritual subjects, philosophical subjects, scientific subjects, the kind of subjects that the world needs right now, is what I'm really saying. The kind of subjects that would help enlighten people to make the world a better place, essentially. And they don't have to just be your opinions. They could be well researched, or they could not be. They could be your opinion as well. Either way, the important part is that you're getting your own messages out there. I believe everyone has their own important message to share, and that should be shared. We all have different messages. This one's mine. My message is the message that helps the other messages. And I'm still learning how to do this. As I'm doing this, I feel like it's hard to do this in public because honestly, I'm figuring out, again, since this is the first time I've ever done this, if I should be doing this in public at all, or if it'll scare people near me who hear me while they're walking too, because there are some people who love to do morning walks. I love to do morning walks. I do it almost every morning when I can, because I like to walk in the sunlight. It really helps me feel better. But, yeah, with that being said, I guess I'll go find a slightly more exclusive area, somewhere where I can not have to worry too much about bothering people or making them upset. I don't know if I make them upset. I just feel like maybe I make people uncomfortable sometimes. Like, from their perspective, I mean, honestly, it's pretty reasonable, to be honest. Like, if I was somebody walking down the road trying to enjoy my morning walk, and then I saw some dude on their phone speaking to it like this about, like, very deep subjects, I'd probably be concerned, honestly. I'd be like, and it's funny because I do the same exact thing, but I would be concerned because I would be like, well, is he doing it for, like, what reason is he doing it for? Does he have, like, a good agenda, or, like, what is he trying, like, I would be thinking these things if I was seeing myself, or if I saw someone like me doing this out in public. It's just my honest thoughts. Now that I'm talking about honesty, I want to touch base on something important, actually. Give me a second here. You can see the sun's starting to come out now a little bit more. You can tell because my glasses are getting darker. That's when the sun's coming out. Anyways. So yeah. Honesty. Well, I guess first off, one of the main, or I should say, yeah, one of the main reasons why I'm doing this is because I believe in something called the ancient understanding, or the ancient wisdom that basically our ancestors had and all of our ancient cultures had, and And to be honest, it's if you trace it back to like the ancient Greeks or like Aristotle or the Athenians, or even like the Romans, who were very philosophical society. Basically, at the humanity's peak, like the peaks of humanity, if you look at the so-called golden ages, I mean, I believe they are golden ages actually, because they are the times that we were the most open to our own enlightenment. If you look around now, you know, you can't really. I'll just use right now what's happening as an example. So this is actually a perfect example of what's happening right now. So like, remember earlier when I was walking around and, you know, I was saying the example of how people would probably feel uncomfortable. And we live in very uncomfortable times where, you know, we're always trying to get in other people's head and see, well, what's their real purpose of doing this, or what's their agenda and stuff like that. And it's because, you know, you can't blame people for thinking that way. We live in a time period where we should be suspicious of each other and things, because there's a lot of things to be suspicious about. That's just how it is right now. You know, I'll use an example going back to like the older times. You used to have like the Athenians or the Greeks, they would huddle up in like forums. They were called forums, where they would just talk to each other about philosophy or enlightenment or whatever the subject reached that day. And it was highly encouraged to do that. Trying to think of another specific example. If I can't, I'll just skip it. But I can't think of it right now. It's all right. I guess it's not that important. But I was just another example. It's basically, there's like a thing where, like, basically I forgot the name of it. I'm just gonna describe what I was trying to describe without describing the name, because I can't remember the name off the top of my head this second. But essentially, like, take Pythagoras for example. I love to study these guys. It's like one of my main passions is studying people like this who inspire me. Pythagoras and also Zeno of Athens, you know, people like this. Also the mentor of Zeno, they would gather in like this specific area that was, it wasn't a forum, but it was like a forum. And it was actually, I'm just going to describe it. So, and most people probably won't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just going to describe it anyway. It was basically like a forum where they would meet up there, but instead of being a forum, it wasn't even meant to be a forum. It was actually more of like a canal for like transportation and all sorts of like, basically like actual like city function stuff. But they used this area because they didn't have a forum. So that just shows you, the reason I'm mentioning it, because it really highlights the passion of the people at this time. These are people who just really wanted to know whatever it is that they were trying to know, and they were willing to do whatever it took to get there. So now, in direct contrast with the, you know, times we're in now, I'm walking on the bike trail. I'll show you. Hey, I'm sorry about that. I was going to try to show you guys the bike trail that I'm on. Here it is. And by the way, it's a brand new phone, literally. Just got it like a week ago. Well, I guess, wow, I really suck at using this thing. Holy crap. Okay, so I guess either it doesn't allow me to switch the camera, live, or I just don't understand how to yet. But nevertheless, still a great example point. So what I was gonna say is, so here I am on the bike trail, right? So you got these like ancient Greeks, ancient Romans, whatever, basically ancient people from enlightened societies, attempting to communicate to each other to try to reach some kind of conclusion, right? Some kind of higher conclusion. And in direct contrast, you know, you have today maybe 1 in 1,000 people are trying to do that on their own because for some reason they feel called to or whatever. I know I feel called to do that. But, when you have these rare individuals who, like, seek it regardless of the time that they're placed in, is what I'm saying. It's kind of like someone who's in the wrong time period in a way. It's kind of like Leonardo da Vinci. He was like a Renaissance man way ahead of his time. Take Nikola Tesla, another man super ahead of his time. Basically what I'm saying is, like, these types of individuals are way ahead of their time, and because they're not in the time that kind of like pre-designates that to be like a social normality, because it's not like socially normal to try to become enlightened in this day and age, it makes people very uncomfortable when you're like, walking on a bike trail talking about these things. And I'm the kind of person that also believes in 𝘰𝘓𝘃ism. If you don't know what 𝘰𝘰𝘃ism is, it's the philosophical understanding. It's the doctrine that basically says that every cause has an effect, and everything affects everything, and everything is responsible for everything. In other words, everything is connected in such a way that everything is like how like consequences work. Like, you do an action and then there's a consequence to that action, or there's a result. Basically, it's kind of like that, but also it works backwards as well. Some people understand what I just said, but yeah. And so in direct contrast, you have like a time period where nobody wants to hear that stuff, basically. And it makes people very uncomfortable to hear that stuff, because either the entire subject itself has been disregarded entirely, or maybe aspects within it have been demonized, such as like the more esoteric aspects of philosophy, for example, has been, I'm just going to say the word demonized, because it's not really like, yeah, like in comparison to how it was idolized in the times that I'm referencing, like in the Greek times, it was really idolized. Like if somebody like Pythagoras was walking around in the Greek times, they idolized him. Somebody like that walking around now, they'd be like, dude, that guy's weird. That guy's weird, don't talk to that guy. See that guy over there? That guy, he just talks about numbers. Don't talk to that guy. Keep your family away from that guy. It's like, that's the kind of response that this world, how they treat those types of individuals now. And it's because we live in such a different time period. It's huge. But unless we recognize that, we're effectively keeping ourselves from reaching that entirely. So you have to be willing to kind of jump over the social norm and create your own social norm. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're essentially part of that herd that doesn't want to do that. Not to categorize people here, because I don't believe in categorization, actually. But it's so important to talk about. Honestly, I hope... No, you know what? It's fine. I was like thinking in my head, oh man, now I have 2 video clips. I'm probably going to have to learn how to clip them together later. But you know what? I like learning, so I'm sure it'll serve its useful purpose in the future for future videos. I'm sure I'll accidentally cut myself off in the future, or something like the power on my phone will go out and I'll have to do another, binding together of 2 video clips. So, it's whatever. Honestly, when it first happened, I was like, come on, John. Why did you do that? I know you were trying to show them the bike trail, but now you cut off the whole video. You're going to have to start the whole thing over. But you know what? Fuck it. We ain't about that life. I'm just going to put it together and make it easy on myself, and like, whatever. If people don't like it, it's whatever. That's another thing, is like, one of the ancient virtues was radical honesty. I'll just go through them right now real quick. So the ancients, they highly regarded these virtues, and some of them are kind of long words, so I have them written down right here, and I'll go through them real quick, because we can touch base on it, and it'll help me like keep in mind what I'm keeping in mind here. So the first virtue, which I already covered off the top of my head, was honesty and truth. Second one was actually virtues, which I'm already talking about now. But it was virtues and ethics, which is basically the same thing. Virtues means how you perceive ethics, essentially. Like, what are your virtues? What are your standards for how you treat yourself, how you treat others, how you treat the world, things like that. And yeah, so I guess since I already touched base on honesty, I don't want to make it too long of a video, so I'll go into virtues now. Virtues is super important because without virtues, this video wouldn't exist right now. Without virtues, I would have reacted to the situation of the mistake that I made where I cut off the video because I was trying to show you guys the bike trail. Without those virtues in place, the whole video wouldn't even work. Because I'd be angry at it, and then I wouldn't be able to get it, the message across. So it's about how you react to what's happening, and it's about how you feel about what's happening. It's also about how you perceive what's right and what's wrong in every given moment. So they call, this is one of my favorite ways of defining the dichotomy of good and evil. First of all, you should know that it's a paradox. So I'm going to go deep here for a second. Not everyone will understand this. But good and evil is a paradox. In a nutshell, it doesn't truly exist, objectively speaking. Keep in mind the word objective, okay? So basically, it's a subjective dichotomy, which doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because they had a specific phrase referring to good and evil. The knowledge of good and evil is called the Enlightened Afterthought. Very important to keep in mind. Because what it says is that, yes, even though good and evil isn't an objective temperance, it's not an objective dichotomy, it is, however, a subjective reality, which is important. Some people say, oh, if it's not objective, it doesn't exist. True, but not true. And in this case, it's definitely not true. Because like I said, it is a subjective reality. They called it the Enlightened Afterthought because it's like, basically, imagine if you comprehended every objective object, every objective idea, everything. If you just comprehended all of it, then you would have a real understanding of what is and isn't. You would have opinions, basically. If you comprehended the whole world at once, that's why they say it's the Enlightened Afterthought. Enlightened as in you've become enlightened, you know everything. They call it the Enlightened Afterthought because, yeah, see, now I don't, I'm just going to continue talking even though somebody's walking right by me. This is me getting over my anxieties here, so bear with me. Anyways, so I just remember what I'm talking about. Yeah. They called it that because it's important to recognize the difference between good and bad in every given moment. Without it, we don't have any way of self-guidance. We don't have a direction. It's kind of like imagine sailing through an ocean without a compass. That's what it would be like if you didn't know the difference between good and evil. So, do you want to keep sailing without a compass? Or do you want to actually figure out the direction that you want to be going? It's the best way I could paraphrase it. And I did that while I was overcoming my anxieties. High five, John. I can't high five myself, but air high five, yeah. Proud of myself. That's another great thing. Just rewarding yourself. Little rewards here and there, a little bit. Oh, what's a great idea? I'm gonna go to the cemetery. Nobody likes the cemetery. It's an excellent place to go. Nobody likes it there. They shouldn't feel that way, but that's how people feel. But it's perfect. So the third virtue is law and temperance. Yeah, it's fine. I'm sorry, I was laughing because somebody just walked away from me. They saw me talking to my phone and looking at my notes here, and they I'm not gonna put the camera on them because that's rude, but I had to laugh about it. So at this point, I think I've overcome my anxiety, and I don't really, it's not that I don't care if I make people uncomfortable, it's that I understand that they're uncomfortable for a reason that's not necessarily grounded in truth. Like, they could be like assuming things about me, or like, why is that guy weird like that, or what is, you know what I mean? It's like, for example, if they're wondering, am I weird? That whole notion is based on a basis of understanding that there's a possibility I could be weird. But I know myself, and I know, I know I'm me, so I have nothing to worry about, is what I'm saying. But to them, in their perspective, I can totally understand why they would feel that way about a stranger. So what I'm saying is, it's fine for them to feel that way. I don't take it personally. I really don't. And likewise, they shouldn't take it personally what I'm doing either. So it's like live and let live, basically. Anyways, going back to the third one. It's actually the more important one. That's the one that has been going on this entire time. This one's called law and temperance. I already touched base on it slightly with temperance when I mentioned it a few times with the dichotomy thing. But yeah, going back to good and evil real quick. If you don't have temperance, then you don't have balance. If you don't have balance, then you're kind of doomed to inevitably reach a state of lack of balance. That's what the whole temperance is temperance is when you temper your actions so that you ensure. It's about the ensurement of seeking balance so that you don't lack it. And this isn't even like a thing that's discussed today, which is why I'm discussing it big time. Because since we have this lack of temperance, lack of understanding about it, we therefore, as a society, lack balance. Because we don't think about balance. We don't think about it. If we don't think about it, it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. Out of sight, out of mind. So, if you don't see it, you're not going to do it. If it's out of your sight, it's out of your mind. Because you're not thinking about it. You're not reacting to it. So, of course, it won't have any place in your life unless you make a place for it in your life. That's what I'm here for. And that's what whoever's listening to this video is also here for. Cause and effect. If you don't know what cause and effect is and you really want like a detailed scientific explanation on it, and when I say scientific, I say it loose. Well, I don't say it loosely, but I mean it in the term of like medieval, not medieval science, that's a better way to describe it. Okay, so you know like Hermes Trismegistus, some of you might know him. He was known as like one of the most enlightened people to ever exist. If you don't know anything about him, they called him Hermes the thrice greatest, Hermes thrice born, for a reason. I'm not going to go into that reason because I know there's some people who might not believe in this stuff, and I don't want to like challenge their beliefs too hard. I know I probably have already done that in a lot of ways. I really am trying to be open to as many people as possible here. Some videos will be catered towards non-believer people. And when I say believer, I'm not talking about any religious beliefs, actually. I'm talking about beliefs of reality, believe it or not. Some people don't believe in certain aspects of reality. But, yeah, and again, I'm not talking about religious beliefs right now. I could be, but I'm not at this moment right now. I'm really not, I promise. I'm just speaking about philosophy like I have been this whole time. But anyways, yeah. So, anyways, what I was referencing with the whole cause and effect thing, and why I said it's not like a true science, the book I'm about to reference, I'm not saying that cause and effect isn't a true science, because cause and effect is a true science. What I was saying was that the book I'm about to reference may be perceived as not a true science. It may be perceived that way. But in factuality, again, it's subjective. So it's called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, specifically the cause and effect tablet. I don't remember which tablet it is specifically. It might be the fourth one, but don't quote me on that. But it's called the Law of Cause and Effect, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. If you Google that, you will find a lot. And you will find, there's a website called Crystal Links that also has the exact web link address. for like the PDF text document. If you want to just read the text online, you can. They also have videos of it on YouTube, so if you're on YouTube, which I know you are because you're watching this, that'll work for you, I'm sure. If you like to listen instead of reading. Figure I'd mention both. But yeah, the reason why I had originally said, the reason why I was originally challenged in saying, is this science or not, is because remember how I'm keeping the mindset of truth always, right? Maybe I should walk away from the cars. Yeah, give me a second here. I'm trying to, it's just that there's a lot right now. A lot of cars trying to cross the road. I'm waiting. It's also cold outside. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So, yeah, in the future, I think I'm just going to find like a very much more secluded area to do these all together. But I love walking, so I love authenticity. I love walking, so I kind of wanted to show you the authentic process of me discovering these things as I'm talking about it too, so you kind of get to go on the journey with me a little bit. I like to invite people on the journey. I like to. It's fun. I think it's fun. But anyways. And by that I mean I like to show people the journey while I'm doing it. Like I am right now. So yeah, basically Hermes Trismegistus was seen as a medieval alchemist. He was also seen as a lot of things. Some people called him a magician. Like not the kind that pulls a rabbit out of the hat, but actually the ancient kind, where the term magi originally was coined from, actually. So these are like the ancient sages, the people who actually spawned this wisdom that I'm talking about right now. The people who wrote the original tablets, back in the Sumerian days, for God's sakes. Like these kind of people is what I'm saying. So that's why, since I'm truthful, I couldn't necessarily tell you that this is science, but it is science. It's science in whatever century we're talking about here. It's science in like the 300 BCE era or something like that. And that's not accurate. That's just an example. That's not accurate. But you get what I'm saying. It's to illustrate the point that I'm getting across. The point is that I could have been smooth and just said, oh, it's a science thing. It's a science book. But that's how adamant I am about keeping the truth with you guys, because it's meant to show you guys the discovery of the value of truth and how it feels when somebody's being truthful to you in the fullest authenticity that they can possibly be. It's so important, you guys. And you may not realize it until you see it, someone else doing it, or until you actually try doing it for yourself. So I just want to invite you guys to, whenever you feel the urge to tell a white lie or a real lie, or even something like I was just saying, where I could have just glossed over it and told you guys this is science, even though there's a difference between medieval science and modern science. That's all I really should have said. I should have just said it was medieval science, honestly. So you also get better at telling the truth through time. If I was way better at it, I would have just said medieval science way sooner. But instead, I'm still in the development process of earning my fullest, higher levels of truthful authenticity. And the reason why you have to do it like this, the reason why it can't just come to you instantly, is because you have to realize that you've been conditioned your whole life to not necessarily tell the truth always, but just say exactly what you think should be said. A lot of people in society today are they would rather say what needs to be said or say what they think needs to be said rather than saying the actual truth about things. But the truth is that the truth is what needs to be said. The truth is always what needs to be said. Always. Because that's always the most important thing. That's always the highest virtue. Always. Truth. So now that I'm done with that side tangent, sorry that got a little bit long there. I'm not sorry. It was important. It was really important. But anyways. Yeah, I'm in the cemetery now. I'll show you. Well, I don't. Some people think it's like disrespectful to do that, so I'm actually just gonna. By some people, I mean in certain, like for example, Eastern cultures, they believe it's not very respectful to be recording the dead or recording things relating to them. So that's why I'm showing you guys the sky right now. Anyways, yeah. Just trying to get back to what I was talking about. So with the cause and effect. Oh yeah, that's right, the virtues. The virtues. I feel like there was another one. Get my thing here. Law, temperance. Oh yeah, law. See, okay. This is kind of how law works in a nutshell, actually. You know, notice how, like, this whole time I was able to say everything off the top of my head easily, but then once it gets to law, that's the tough one. Law is always the tough one. Law is, to put it into perspective for people that only understood, oh my god, I'm sorry, my nose, who are better at just grasping the modern terminologies of things rather than, because I'm kind of going back and forth between ancient terms and modern terms, so I'm just going to be modern for a second here fully as much as I can in my words. So law, the way that law, I'm sorry, I know I just said that, but I'm going to go ancient again for a second. So law was known as ma'at in like ancient Egypt, okay? That's what, like, for example, they called her ma'at. That was like that was basically like the law that governs existence, but they saw it as a female deity because they deitized everything. Everything to the ancients were deities. And I won't necessarily tell you if that's true or not because I'll leave that up to your own interpretation, but just because, just if every, let's say for example, let's say they are a deity. Let's say the law, the underlying law, which means the laws that govern physics, but also metaphysicality, also coincidence, everything that is ordained out of your control, but ordained by God, the universe, or wherever you want to describe it as. The ancients saw this as the law. They called this the law of the all. The law of the all. Okay? And they had names for it. Some of them called it ma'at. Some people called it 𝘧𝘧. That was the Greeks. Honestly, every single ancient religion has called it something. Or, I'm sorry, not every ancient religion. Every ancient culture. I mean, yeah, I'm sure most of the ancient religions touched based on this, yes, but every single ancient culture, if you look in any of the ancient cultures, it could be the Indian or Eastern or Asian or, even the Russian, Germanic, it could be anything. We got like the Turkish, the 𝘮𝘪𝘮. Even though 𝘮𝘪𝘮 isn't law, 𝘮𝘪𝘮 is a different one, but I'm just using examples here. 𝘮𝘪𝘮 is actually a sky god. That's a good example of the law right now. So the law is coincidence, but it shows us that coincidence is not coincidence. That's how they understood it, especially 𝘧𝘧. If you guys don't know 𝘧𝘧, you guys got to get into that because it'll really help you make this stuff more normalized for you. It'll prove to you that I'm not just one guy talking about this. It's actually like a real thing out there. But even if I was one guy talking about this, you should be able to deduce whether or not... You should always deduce truth from people no matter what they're saying. No matter what they're saying. It doesn't matter if it's me. Doesn't matter if it's you. Wait, I'm trying to point at you. Doesn't matter if it's you. Doesn't matter if it's me. Doesn't matter if it's like the dog across the road. It doesn't matter who or what it is. Okay? And that's just a joke. I'm joking. It's funny. I'm sorry. I'm like wicked silly, I know, in a weird way, but It doesn't matter who's telling it to you. You have to be good at deducing what is and isn't truth and from where it's coming from. Always fact check, always source check, always think about where is the source of this knowledge coming from. Always. Doesn't matter who it is, where it's coming from at all. Okay? And the law wants you to do that. In fact, the law isn't here just to like punish you for doing bad things. I mean, it doesn't really. Some people, okay, this is a good one. So like, you know how some Eastern cultures call it like karma, for example. Karma is also like the whole dharma, karma thing. Like, you know, your dharma is basically what you're set up with in life, and your karma is what you get during that dharma, so that it basically, it's like, let me try to think of an easier way to explain it for you guys. So your karma shapes your dharma, okay? Your karma is what you get for doing things, and then that shapes the dharma that you're passing into through life, that you're going through in life. Your life, the whole like timeline of your life, that's the dharma. The karma is the active reaction of the universe reacting to you. It's the law of the all reacting to you. Okay? Just like how I said that, like you'll notice in these videos, I'll be saying things, and it's happened a lot already. If you want, you can go back and rewatch it. But it's gonna keep happening because this is the law here. This is like I don't control this stuff. This is just what happens. When I say something correct, the law says, yeah, you did it right, by giving you some kind of signifier. It could be a bird, it could be a noise, it could be anything. Some people, you know, maybe one person is really into butterflies, for example, and they'll only believe things if they see a butterfly. This is just a really silly example, but maybe they'll only believe things if they see like a yellow butterfly, for example. And then let's say I say something that's like super true, and then a yellow butterfly appears. And then that person watching the video is like, holy shit, no way. And then them reacting to that is basically, the law puts that yellow butterfly there specifically so that they can react to that, so that a new chain of events will occur after that. If that makes sense. I really hope that makes sense to you guys. Which is the reason, and there's a reason for this. It happens for a reason. It happens because it is the existence's way of self-sustaining itself. It's the existence's way of growing itself and expanding itself. Without these metaphysical laws that control the metaphysicality aspect of the physical reality, then the reality wouldn't have those coincidences that help each other anymore. And because of that, I don't know if you heard that, but there was a dog barking twice right when I said that, which is why I was smiling. Because it just proves my point, basically, and it's going to keep proving my point, because, and I mean, this happens with or without you believing in it. It's not one of those, some people think you need beliefs in order for spirituality to work or whatever. This isn't, first of all, this isn't spirituality. I haven't even gotten into spirituality yet. We're still speaking on metaphysicality here. We're still talking on philosophy. That's because I want to show you guys that you can have a scientific core, but still accept philosophy, still accept spirituality, even if you're the most rational-minded individual that exists. You know? So you don't necessarily need to have a spiritual background. I personally didn't have one at all. I came from a background of pure, not spirituality at all. In fact, I used to reject it entirely. I was very atheistic on the early parts of my journey. I only believed in math and science. It's so like stereotypical. I know, dude. Bear with me here. But I'm still into math and science. I still love math and science. In fact, I don't reject it. I fully embrace both. Now, if anything, I embrace everything. It's taught me that spirituality shouldn't be rejected. Even if you disagree with certain ideas, you should never reject these ideas, because you should at least try, like I said, to find the source truth of where they're coming from, then judge that. At least find where it's coming from, then judge that. Don't judge something by its cover. It's so simple, guys. Don't judge something, don't judge some ideas that you don't agree with by their cover. Just because, maybe a guy like me is telling them to you, and maybe you don't, I'm not saying I look ugly, but maybe you don't like the way I look or something, like, and that's okay. That's okay, but what I'm saying is don't judge a book by its cover, dude. You gotta actually look into the source of things. You gotta look up the resources. And so I try to mention them as much as possible for you guys. I am speaking from the heart. I am speaking off the top of my head. So I will admit, like how I couldn't mention the alternative to the forum that the Athenians had for Zeno, where they accumulated and talked all day. I couldn't mention that, so I can't say every single source off the top of my head because I'm not perfect. I wish I was, believe me. But this is the best that I can give, and if you really want, you can message me and be like, Johnny, bro, I really did want to know where Zeno meets up with his homies, dog. Why didn't you tell me that, man? Come on, I know you couldn't remember it off the top of your head, but come on, bro, I actually want to research and study this stuff. I'd be like, dude, I'm sorry, man, I'm really sorry. Okay, man, look, I'll just Google it, I'll figure it out, and then boom, bada bing, bada boom, I'll give it to you in 5 minutes. It's not even that big of a deal either, okay? So what I'm saying is, as long as we're always open and honest with each other, these beautiful things will always happen and find a way of completing themselves. If you're searching for knowledge and I didn't give you that in the video, you can message me, I can help you, because I try to be open. I'm trying, right? I try to be open, as much as I can, which is good. Everyone should be like that. I mean, I'm sorry, no, not everyone should not be a certain way. I shouldn't say that, because the truth is everyone's different. Everyone's meant to be different. But what I meant was, if more people are open with each other, then more situations will have a way of easily solving themselves. That's all I was really getting at. Again, so you know how the law is I feel like I keep dancing around the law here. The law, okay, here's a good way to explain the law. You know how in the movie Matrix, some people hate when if I reference the Matrix, because it's so it's just so, I don't know what's the word, stereotypical, I feel like, for this exact subject that we're on here right now. But in the movie The Matrix, Morpheus is talking to Neo. It's when they first talk face to face in the room and they first meet each other. And Morpheus literally says to him, the Matrix can't be nobody can tell anyone the Matrix. The Matrix can't be explained to someone. No one can tell you what the Matrix is. I believe that's what he said. No one can tell you what the Matrix is. Nobody can say what the Matrix is. And the reason why is because it is that very thing that if you knew what it was, if you knew what the law was, if you truly knew what the law was, the subject that I'm talking about here, you would just become enlightened, because you would know the reason for why everything happens, basically. So I don't even fully know the law fully myself. I just know that it exists. I know how it exists. I know, I'm into it. I'm into the levels of it because I think about it a lot, and I try to progress my understanding of it as much as possible, all the time, whenever I can. I was going to say every day, but some people might not believe that. It really is important to integrate this as a lifestyle if you can. And I make it a lifestyle personally, because the more I make it a lifestyle, the more I catch myself doing things like, if I'm not being truthful, if I'm not being fully honest, you catch these things and you get better at catching these things. The more you do it, the more often you do it. So if you can, try to integrate it as a lifestyle. And I'm not going to tell you, you got to do 30 spiritual push-ups every day or you're out of here, or you can just unsubscribe, or I don't care. I'm not some kind of hard-ass life coach on your ass about things that I honestly, I really don't care. Do whatever you want. It's live your life however you want, right? But I'm doing my thing, and the way I like to do my thing is I do like to try to understand the law every single day. And what I've understood from it is the main thing. This is the biggest key that you'll ever get for the law, okay, if you're just starting out. And remember, this is the biggest subject this is the law. If you understand the law, you will understand it all, basically. So that's the reason why what I'm about to say won't be easy for everyone to understand. Only very few very advanced minds will be able to understand the truth of what I mean by these words that I'm about to say. I guarantee 90% of people are going to be like, yeah, I understand that, but then they don't truly, really deeply get it to the level that I'm describing, okay? So I'm about to say it. The truth, the secret, and the key to understanding the law is this: nothing is random. Nothing. Nothing is random. Nothing has ever been random. And this is basically the real where 𝘰𝘊𝘪𝘴 by the way. If you really dive into that rabbit hole. 𝘰𝘊𝘪𝘴, what was the other one? Oh yeah, karma, ma'at, all these connected subjects. Again, it's just ancient cultures trying to grasp the same understanding, and they effectively have. They just have different names for it. That's why I'm glossing over them for you to just say, every single ancient culture in the past, all of our ancient human societies have attempted to understand this exact same concept for hundreds of thousands of years, literally. And they've all reached the same conclusions or the same truths, but with different words, different, titles, phrases, because they originated from different cultures across the world that utilize these different languages, titles, etc. But in essence, not a single thing is random. Not a single thing ever has been. I know that's a very radical idea for some people, but like how I've been telling you my truth this entire time, I'm sticking with it. And I'm not going to change that now just because some people might not be ready to hear it. I'm still going to say the truth because that's what's important. That's my virtue. That's my highest virtue, the truth. And my truth is that nothing is random. Nothing is random. That's the sun right there. It's beautiful today. Hope I didn't just blind you. I hope I didn't just blind anybody. I'm so sorry if I did. Anyways, I'm probably going to start walking home now. It's very, very cold. I don't know if I want to mention the place that I live in the very first video. Okay, this is a good thing. Okay, so there is such a thing as being too truthful. Even though I've said, time and time again throughout the video, truth, there's such a thing as a line here, as temperance has with everything, right? Temperance teaches us to balance everything, including the truth. And the main time when you want to balance the truth is honestly when it's going to hurt somebody, including yourself, obviously. So even though, yes, advocate the truth, I'm not going to tell you my social security number and where I live and everything, Maybe you might want to take me to dinner first and I could talk about something. No, I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is, even if you trust somebody, right? Even if you trust somebody, you might feel obligated to tell them truths, but only tell them the right truths. Only tell them the truths that you believe are the right truths. If you tell somebody the truths before they're ready to hear it. It could also be volatile. For example, one of the main, even though I gave you guys that truth of that nothing is random, I gave you guys that truth because I truly believe that you guys can handle it. I believe that you guys can handle that truth. Even the ones who can't handle it, I believe that they can at least eventually handle it, okay? But I wouldn't give you guys a truth. There were some truths that I didn't give today because, well, first of all, a magician never reveals all of his secrets, right? So you don't want to just throw all the cards on the table right away. You got to have something for them to come back to the next time, right? I'm just being smart there. But at the same time, realistically and really, really speaking real here, I do understand that there are certain things, aspects of reality that I know that if I just said it and blurted it out right now this second, this is why it's so important. If you do understand the stuff that I'm talking about, don't just go share it with anyone. Only share it with the people who you know will understand it, because you can actually give people what's called an existential crisis. That's really not so Gucci. You don't want to be doing that to people. Okay, seriously, it's actually really bad. Seriously. I know I just made a joke there, but it's actually really bad. Seriously, don't do it. Yeah, it really isn't. It's not a good thing. And even if you are a researcher yourself, and there's such a thing as researching too far too fast, go at your own pace that you feel comfortable with, especially once you're dabbling into this heavier, deeper spirituality stuff where it actually links into the real reality. That can scare the crap out of people because what it does is it basically you have this solid idea of this thing called what you perceive as reality. But then when something challenges that, it can freak you the heck out really fast. Really, really fast. I guarantee that probably happened with some people with the bird earlier. That basically was confirming synchronistically exactly what I was saying. Things like that. So you really gotta keep in mind here who you're talking to, what you're saying. Is this going to hurt them if I say it, or will they actually be able to understand it in a beneficial way? I feel like these things should be obvious, but at the same time, you never know, dude. You never know. Especially as someone who is speaking to an audience, you always want, I'm talking about me right now, but if you're also somebody who speaks to an audience, you always want to be a little extra careful just in case. Always. Because you really don't want to, well, I don't want to upset anybody, and I don't think you want to upset anybody either, and you don't want to freak people out either. I do care about freaking people out, and I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help people reach understanding and truth in a way that is sublimely comfortable, if possible. That's my goal here. My goal here isn't just to make it comfortable, but I want to make it fun, okay? In my opinion, genuine opinion here, spirituality is fun, and it should be fun, and it's meant to be fun. Oh my God, this guy's smoking. I'm sorry, I don't like cigarette smokes. I don't like them, so I'm going this way. No judgment. I'm not judging you if you smoke. If you smoke cigarettes, if you smoke weed, if you smoke, just don't hurt yourself, okay? That's what I'm really saying here. But anyway, yeah, no judgment again. I'm not here to judge people. I'm really not. I genuinely am not. But that guy, if he's smoking, I'm just gonna let him do his own thing, live and let live. I'm gonna go do my own thing in a different area. So that's why I'm walking in this direction now. But anyways, yeah. That almost cut me off from reaching a very important key note that I was about to say. Is that spirituality should be fun. I would even go as far as to say that not that it should be fun, but that it needs to be fun. I would even go as far as to say that spirituality needs to be fun. Because if it's not fun, then you're not enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying it, then you're not going to be doing it that much. See what I'm saying here? So like, and we live in a society, especially today, where, I mean, human consciousness is always ran off dopamine anyways, right? But especially today, it's important for us to be enjoying what we're doing, because we will instantly not do it if we don't like it. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Everybody, I don't even have to explain it. But see, that's the thing here. It should be fun, and it really should. And I'm trying to share with people that it really is fun once you get into it. Once you get into it and you really understand the effects it has. Okay? Like, once you see that person smile because you're such a much more balanced individual inside and outside, and you just see not just that one person, but just people around you are going to be smiling more often, because you'll have more temperance, you'll be more balanced, you'll be more guided, you'll just be a overall better person. You know, like, families will heal better, families will like each other more, friends will like you more, everybody will like you more. It's like, and there's so much fun in that. And yes, it's serious too. It's serious in the terms of like, yeah, everything has consequences, everything needs balance. There's like all these like kind of more, I don't want to say boring, but like there's these more serious aspects that still need to be heavily respected. Like I said, the virtues, super important. Honesty, super important. These are so important for very wise reasons, okay? These are wise reasons to be upholding these virtues, because wisdom is... Let me define wisdom for you guys real quick. So, intelligence is knowledge, and wisdom is the knowledge about knowledge. Okay? So, wisdom, in a sense, is just meta-knowledge. Okay? So, it's so important. Imagine if you just didn't have meta at all. If you had no meta-knowledge, I'm saying. No knowledge about the knowledge. Okay? Imagine if you were just running off knowledge, but you didn't know the knowledge about the knowledge. Okay, that's actually a lot of people's lives. That used to be my life, and I'm sure it still is my life in a lot of ways. But in light of that, we should all try to be meta as possible. And by that, I mean we should always try to be on top of our own game. Okay? Whether it be with wisdom, whether it be with knowledge, whether it be with how you cook things. You should always try to be that extra layer on top of yourself. Because if you're not, then who's guiding you? You know what I mean? You want to be the one who's guiding you. You want to guide yourself. Let yourself guide yourself. Let your knowledge guide yourself. Let the knowledge of your knowledge that you've accumulated through experience guide yourself. Don't let me be the only one who guides you. Don't let someone else be the only one who guides you. Let no one be the one who guides you. But let your own meta understanding be the thing that guides you, because then that's your highest knowledge. That's your highest comprehension that's guiding you now. Let your highest comprehension be the one that guides you. Okay? Always. That's some real wisdom right there. The knowledge about your knowledge. Let that guide you. But also keep that in check. See, now we're going meta. Always judge it too. Judge that whatever you're thinking in your head about, when I was referencing the knowledge about your knowledge, even judge that. Even judge that and see, is that good enough? Even refine that, and don't be okay with that either. Don't be okay with anything. See where I'm getting at here? So now it's about the knowledge about the knowledge about the knowledge. Okay? Yeah. I'm gonna go in this direction now. So I feel like I've walked here enough. Oh, I don't want to bother anyone. So yeah. Always be judging. Always. Be articulate. Always be fact-checking, including yourself. Never be okay with your own conclusions, because as soon as you do that, you believe that you're the one who's right. The truth is that it's like there's always going to be a bigger fish out there. Okay, there's always going to be a bigger fish. So even if you think you have the biggest fish, guess what? There's another ocean, and there's an even bigger fish in it. And that's true with almost everything. Doesn't mean you always want to trade it off for that bigger fish. Maybe that bigger fish is a shark or something, right? But at the other hand, maybe that bigger fish is like a big-ass beluga whale that you can eat for like months on end or something. You know, just these silly examples here. But the analogy is like, if you have a certain knowledge, there will always be a bigger knowledge for that knowledge. Like I said, a bigger fish. Sometimes that bigger knowledge is something that isn't necessarily always better. So that's why I always tell everyone, including myself, of course, to always be double checking everything. Do you want to trade this knowledge for that knowledge? And if so, why? It's just about awareness and consciousness, guys. Conscious awareness with everything, always. Always be conscious of with everything, as much as possible. Be aware of what you're trading with ideas, even with ideas and with thoughts. And judge the value in them. Try to cross-reference it with things. See if it's valuable or not. This way you can see the authenticity in everything. Or the value in everything. The true value, that is. I think I'm ready to wrap it up here now. Okay, here's the last one. I wanted to save the best for last, because it's also the most important. The last, highest, most important virtue of the ancient wisdom, of the core of ancient wisdom. It's the one that it's the same exact core value that who I believe was the one person who ever truly spoke the truth and had a divine right to do that, and also has been historically and scientifically evidentially proven that they do exist and that they have done what they've done. I'm referring to Christ right now. Some people don't even believe in Christ. Some people think that Christ is like Santa Claus and the historical figure never existed. Or if he did exist, then there was no evidence of the miracles that he had and things like that. It's hilarious because if you just did enough research to actually look into these arguments, you would find that it's just simply not true at all. And what it does is it very much highlights the fact that we're living in a world of illusions and confusions. But the truth is that Christ did exist. And he did do what he did. And he did do what he says he did too. And that he was going to do. And that he is even still doing it to this day, believe it or not. Through us and everyone. If you say he didn't exist, that's like saying the Romans didn't exist. Or, I think it was Neo. I forgot the name of the exact emperor who executed him, or that ordered his execution. To be honest, I don't really care that much either. But, This is history. Just look it up in a book, dude. Go to the library for once and check it out. You might be surprised at what you find. You know, this is real stuff. I'm not trying to convert anyone to like any kind of belief system here. What I'm doing is stating who's existed throughout history, who's taught these things. We've also had other figures, like the ones who I was speaking about a little bit here, like Hermes Trismegistus. I'm sure there was a lot of like, I think, who was it? Was it Plato? No, Aristotle. Aristotle, huge on ethics, yeah. And love was a huge one for him. Love, temperance, ethics, virtues. I was trying to think of another one. Oh yeah, Buddha. Obviously, Buddha existed. It's so funny how many people are willing to accept that Buddha existed, but not Christ. That's like, it's just really funny. Because in a way, in a nutshell, they're almost the same person, but from different cultures. Not literally the same person, but they're the same type of individual from different cultures, basically. They're trying to teach us love. They're trying to teach us what love is. And there's a difference between love and true love, by the way. What they're really trying to teach us is actually true love. True love is completely different from love itself. And, you know, a lot of failed marriages can tell you this better than anyone, to be honest. I've never been in a failed marriage myself, but, like, this is just, like, a really, like, huge-ass example that I feel like a lot of, like, modernists can relate to, unfortunately. A lot of people think they love each other, and then that's why I referenced failed marriages. Something bad happens, something causes it to fail. What they have fundamentally realized that the love they perceived was love, but it wasn't true love. So they know better than anyone the wisdom of the difference between love and true love. That's what I'm saying. I wanted to illustrate that because that really helps other people understand the difference between love and true love. You know, is it love for your own benefit? Is it love because it's like, oh, I love this candy, you know? Oh, I love this food. Oh man, I love this game or whatever, you know? Is that love or is it true love? Think about that. Little thought exercise. So true love is all about unconditionality. That's what the main core of the difference between the two is about accepting others, accepting yourself, accepting everyone and everything just as they are, just as is. Just simply accept. And that's fucking very radical because not everyone may be prepared to accept certain things about certain people. You know, maybe they have religious disputes, maybe they have philosophical disputes, maybe they have just straight up opinions like political, they don't like each other or whatever. But guess what? The second you reject people is the second you don't respect people. And if you don't respect them, then you don't truly love them. Okay? We need to set aside our differences and learn to understand what true love is again. We all do. I do. Everyone does. Okay? Nobody's free from this. Every single person on this earth today, here and now, especially, needs to learn what true love is. Needs to understand it. Needs to hold it and grasp it and learn to live with it a little bit more in their lives. And they need to learn what it means. You need to learn what it means to truly love people. And to truly love yourself, most importantly. Because you can't even begin to truly love people first until you've truly loved yourself first. You literally, you lack the facilities in your mind, the mental requirements of truly loving until you've actually truly loved yourself first. Because you'll realize that it really hurts if you try to truly love people, but you don't yet truly love yourself first. It actually hurts. And the reason why is because when you truly love is when you're giving. You're giving your own energy. When you truly love, you give your energy. But if you don't truly love yourself, truly loving yourself means you give energy to yourself. It's the connection to yourself that matters. So if you don't truly connect to yourself, then you're not giving energy to yourself. If you're not giving energy to yourself, then you can't truly give that energy that you're trying to give to others. You can only half-ass it, basically. You can only get, no offense, but you can only give like half-ass love if you only half-ass love yourself. Which is why it's such an important, in fact, the most important core value of the ancient wisdom is learning how to truly love your own self first. And that's the hardest one. That's actually the most difficult of them all. So let me try to guide you with it a little bit on my journey and how I truly love myself. The day that I truly loved myself, or figured it out at least, was the same day I finally decided I was fed up with everything in my life that wasn't fully serving me and my highest good. And I want you to know that you shouldn't rush this because it's a process. It is a process. It doesn't happen instantly. It doesn't happen overnight, actually, at all. It could take months. It could take years. It could take entire lifetimes for some people, and it could actually happen overnight for others. Because everyone's awareness is different. Everyone. And very widely different are our awarenesses. Huge variety of range between them. For everyone. Sorry, but it's cold out here. But yeah, so basically the story for me is personally, I've had some, tough relationships, for example, in the past. Lovers, even family. Just also, this is life. Everybody's had tough relationships. Everyone's had tough times, with the people they love. Everyone has. So I'm sure everyone can relate to that. It's not very abnormal. But the point I'm getting at here is, no matter what your situation here is, with your friends, with your families, with your lover, with your ex-lovers, whatever it is, to learn to truly love yourself is always going to be the most fundamentally important thing, and you can only do that once you're willing to let go of whatever the past is that's holding you back, or whatever the present is that's currently holding you back. If you're consciously aware of what's holding you back, you need to start doing whatever you can to make sure that it's not doing that for you anymore. Because only when you finally get all that shit out of your life is when you can truly love yourself. Holy shit, this guy almost ran me over. It's okay. I'm glad I heard that guy started up before I kept walking. So, see, like that is kind of a good example, because if I had like a blatant disregard for my own life, I probably would have just kept walking, and then I probably would have just gotten like hit by that guy. So, that's kind of obvious, so I shouldn't even really, but you know what I mean? It's like everything leads into everything, and it's so important for you to value the right things and to be like, I need to get this shit out of my life towards the wrong things. Because the more you keep the wrong shit in your life, the more you don't love yourself. I know that's so hard for people to grasp. Not to grasp, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I know it's really hard for people to digest, because it's not comfortable to digest. It's a very uncomfortable truth. It's probably the most uncomfortable truth that I've mentioned thus far. And I'm very sorry if that truth makes you uncomfortable. I know it makes me uncomfortable. I know it has made me uncomfortable in the past. I know it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But it's that spark of uncomfortability that will force you to not take that shit anymore in your life. It's that spark of passion, of uncomfortability that will, if you can redirect it in the right direction, force you to force yourself to change things for the better. Because once you finally learn to let go of whatever it is, of all of whatever it is, it could be people, it could be habits, it could be situations, it could be quite literally anything. Whatever that is that's holding you back, that you know you should just let it go, try to understand the wealth that is laying for you right on the other side. The wealth that you could be giving yourself, the love that you could be giving yourself, and the love that you could be giving to other people who you truly want to love, who you do truly love. I know you want to love those people. I know you want to love them right. Because so do I. But to do that, we need to be willing to let go of whatever our past is or whatever our present is that isn't serving our highest purposes. And only then can we truly, once we've let go of all the luggage, only then can we have the freedom to move forwards in a meaningful way. In a truly loving way. Truly loving towards yourself. You. So then you can truly love others. I think that's a perfect place to end it right there. So, have a great rest of your day, you guys. Or night if you're watching it at nighttime, either way. But anyways, peace out later. Bye-bye!